People may say the prime of Rust is in 2024, but do you remember this? But most knowingly, the prime of Rust was from 2016 to early days 2020. This ranges from the skill gap caused by the hard recoil pattern that you need to grind for hours on UKN and different aim servers, ensuring that you're working to become a better player, which then could win you most fights, even when you're outnumbered. This was one of the main reasons Rust's reputation was known for, the hard recoil system that you needed to grind for, which was soon taken away and had a new system in place. This update was called the Combat Update, and the update happened June 2nd, 2022. This shocked a big fraction of the Rust community, which left a variety of Rust players just leaving Rust and never playing the game again. Today I'll be breaking all the reasons down in 3 different sectors. The first sector being the comp side, the second sector being the roleplay side, and the third sector being the quality of life side of Rust. Before I begin on those, let's dive into the early days of Prime Rust. There have been many changes in the quality of life side of Rust. This includes reworks on the new biomes, animals being very glitched and phasing through doors, windows, etc. New building mechanics, and a lot more raid possibilities. With much more ease of access with deployables, Rust has been making a lot of changes to the game in that span of time, which the players liked very much, coming out with amazing updates and changes every frostbite, ranging from new weapons, new bullet types, new animations, new animals, new items, and a brand new way for agriculture, farming, growing berries, cloth and food, etc. And Rust has never stopped with the amazing updates. They kept it coming, the players kept loving it. Although, they've also added a new workbench tech tree system in late 2020 of Rust, which made playing the game relatively easier. And this is because, instead of going out to find the item that you want to research, you could go out onto the roads, hit some barrels, recycle, and be able to tech tree straight down without having to look for the item to have it researched, which was a great concept that I personally liked. Now to move on to the second side, the competitive scene. I'll begin to break this down by introducing the new clans that are competing against each other for victory, and most importantly, this is when the aim training practice that we talked about in the start comes into action. The majority of battles are won from who has the better aim, which was the whole concept of the game really, and the biggest aim of most players. Alongside game sense of course, but that's for another story. Rust at its core has always been about comeuppance, the dangers of roaming, camping in bushes for a game-changing kill, making risky plays, performing daring escapes while pressured in monuments, huge clan fights, and surviving, dominating a wipe with your head held low. With the new recoil system, new players have solid chances at countering gunfights, winning combat interactions, and not dying to quadruple headshots while roam. But that wasn't the case for most players. And I'll tell you why. Rust itself has received a lot of backlash. For example, there are some people debating whether this is a good update or a very bad update. For example, let's have a look at what this guy debated. This update killed Rust, it takes no skill anymore, something that solos like me used. That's the only advantage against large groups. I don't stand a chance against anything above a 4-man, you can only outsmart and outplay for so long before you're outgunned. Blah blah blah, so on and so forth. And there are some people that are agreeing to some extent, and people agreeing to lesser extent. But I'll tell you my ideas right now. I'd say upon inspection of the concurrent players after the recoil update, there's little to no change in the players database. This means that there has been a very low amount of players that stopped playing after the game recoil update, which is surprisingly pretty low considering the game changing update that has been implied into the game. Personally, I'd say in the comp scene, it is very easy to dominate anything as long as you have the numbers. For example, Zergs are always untouched because of the amount of players there is, and this is obvious since they have multiple players. But for solos, duos and trios, this creates a harsher environment without the old recoil and the ability to destroy players in a matter of seconds with insane recoil they held back in the days. This had an impact on solos the most, as people would say face punches nerfing solos, And before you come at me saying, you can play solo only servers, in reality, who the fuck does that? And a majority of players love official, where there are truly no team limits in most servers. But on the good side, I see great updates being heli crashing at monuments only, safe zone recycler nerfs, etc. This is a very good way for FaZe Punch to get their players to go and contest and fight for the loot instead of sitting in the base 24/7, which is a very good update, although it's time to move on to our final sector. People may think that Rust is turning into a roleplay type game, but here are some observations that leads to think that Rust is not much of a PvP game. First of all, the descriptions of the game changed after 4 years of existence when PvP was raised as a form of game target. Toxics decided to add kill or be killed. Here's the original description of the game on Steam. The only aim in Rust is to survive, overcome struggles such as hunger, thirst, and cold, build a fire, build a shelter, kill animals, protect yourself from other players. And that was the description of the game. So it wasn't implied to be a fully aimed at PvP game after all. Rust can be whatever you want it to be. If you want to see it as a roleplay game, you can strictly play it as a shooter. Lots of people argue it's not a survival game as it's advertised. But I think that Rust is great. There's not one way to play it. I could definitely consider it as a survival, roleplay, and all the above type of game. I think the main reason people don't see it like that is because how it differs from different roleplay type of games. And there's a lot of people getting mad from recent updates because of certain things being added, making it seem more of a roleplay game, when most of the players want it to be a survival and a PvP type of game, which left to some players' abandonment of the game. But that's why Rust made a lot more different servers for different type of things. For example, there's servers for PvP such as 10x's, 100x's, so on. Some servers as officials, mostly based on PvP. And there are some servers that are roleplay-like, which not a lot of people tend to play. So when items are added into Rust, it's implemented in every single server, which, in conclusion, Rust had its fair share of updates and new game-changing resources and ways to introduce the game to many other players. There are people who like it and people who don't like it. But take this with a pinch of salt. Someday, we'll all have to accept that this is what Rust wants, and there's nothing we can really do to change. Rust is working to make the game better, and it's doing it their way. All we can do is just accept it and move on, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, thank you guys for watching this short video. Hope it summarized it for you. I'll catch you guys later.